most respected audience, dear friends, and my dear students. A very good day to you all. Today, I wish to speak something about our beloved professor S.A. Thiagarajan. 20th July is his death anniversary, and this year, that is 2025, 20th July, marks his 6th anniversary. Therefore, I wish to register my memories pertaining to the very great professor of our lives. Firstly, let me make it clear that we did not know that professors existed only in universities when we were admitted in St. Xavier's College. An image of the college is made by cinemas, wherein every teacher of a college wears a coat and speaks in a very distinguished way. But to its contrast, when we entered the college, we found a man who is completely different. St. Xavier's College was the college of our preference for the study of our BA course. And there we met Professor S.A. Thiagarajan while we were undergoing a bridge course. This bridge course is a course through which the English efficiency of students will be tested and weaker students will be dropped in B stream and better students are dropped in A stream. So, for 1 week, a complete training will be given and assessment will be made. At that time, a person wearing bell bottom pants, he used to carry attendance registers and he used to enter classes and instruct the particular teachers conducting the class. The regular teachers did not appear for the bridge course, rather, they preferred some hourly basis staff to conduct the bridge course when we were entering our BA course. Not only he was wearing bell bottom, but a cloth stitched bag always occupied his elbow, and he was also wearing a specs. Firstly, I thought he is a clerical staff of the college, maybe a superintendent or a PA to the principal. But my friend Kanapati had a better vision, better introduction of the college, and he said that he is our head of the department, Professor S.A. Thiagarajan. I am shocked and thought that this must be a very poor guy. He was not in the selection board also. In our selection board, Professor Kalistus and Professor Jagannathan were sitting. So, as I already said, we did not know to distinguish between professors and lecturers. So, these were either lecturers, senior lecturers, or selection grade lecturers at that time. Even reader was not permitted in colleges at that time. But, however, we prefer to call our teachers as professors. Interestingly, in the department of English at that time, nobody carried a PhD degree, and only Professor Callistus, Professor John Peter Joseph, Professor Joseph Walbert, and a few others they had registered for PhD and it was not awarded. But however, uh, Professor John Peter Joseph and Joseph Walbert sir, they had their PhD degrees awarded during our tenure in the college, and all of them were MPhil graduates, whereas Professor Cleophas carried just an MA. However, on inquiry, I came to know that Professor S.A. Thiagarajan decorated almost every office of the college, including principal, controller, so on and so forth, excepting for rector, which purely reserved for the Reverend Fathers. And Professor Cleophas preferred to call him a workaholic. However, he is a very soft spoken man. One day, when my friend Ganapati and Professor Thiagarajan were returning from Rosemary Matriculation Higher Secondary School, leaving their bicycles outside the campus, somebody had played mischief with his bicycles, and Professor Thiagarajan waited till that person departed. He did not want to pick up a fight with him, and therefore he stayed calm and maintained his emotional stability. He is not a coward, however, Unnecessary kind of confrontation is not a preferable choice for him. As a HOD, he was very accommodative and he gave space for alternative arguments in the department. He tried to maintain balance between all the teachers and students. He recognized and appreciated the intelligence of his colleagues and he constantly encouraged them. And in matters of confrontation, he walked to the other side if he is convinced of others' views. He had no enemies and he loved almost every student who took classes under him. His love for teaching was without limits and boundaries. Sometimes in the vacation in St. Xavier's school, they invited him to offer classes and he readily agreed and with a lot of passion and commitment he conducted students for elementary class children. He attempted to maintain contact with every student and made his best attempts to reshape their lives. Dr. Acharyam of our department, he once said when his own son, Mr. Alvin, when he completed his 12th standard, at that time, Professor S.A. Thiagarajan was in Chennai procuring seats for his own student at Loyola College, and it is the staff members of St. Xavier's College who bought application for Mr. Alvin and helped him to get admission into BA English course of St. Xavier's College. At that time, the communication system was very poor, and only on return, Professor S.A. Thiagarajan was informed that his own son procured this many marks and was admitted into the English department of St. Xavier's College. And as in any situation, he was indifferent to that also. It was said that in similar circumstance, his daughter also got admitted into the Department of BA English at Sarah Tucker College, Perumalpuram. He was known for his moral integrity and had the courage to locate himself in the right place. And earlier in this particular speech, I mentioned that Professor S.A. Thiagarajan must be a poor guy, but he had the broadness of heart to say in public that I am a very rich man. On a very hot day, we were suffering in our class without a fan, and when Father Principal, Reverend Dr. Francis Peter, when he came to our class, we requested him to give a fan, and he said that half of the amount you should give and half of the amount the college will bear. And he also said that once after being transferred from this particular class, you should not demand that the fan also should be shifted from this class to your class. So on that condition, we agreed and we thought of collecting money from each and every student. The next class was conducted by Professor Cleophas, and when we said that, he said, if at all you are going to buy a fan, I will give you rupees 100. And the next class was conducted by Professor S.A. Thiagarajan, and when we explained the situation to him, he said that you collect 100 rupees from Professor Cleophas immediately, and he sent one boy for collecting the amount, and he asked every student to give the money he is capable of at that time, and he collected the money, and the rest of the amount he gave from his pocket, and a fan was installed in the afternoon. That was Professor S.A. Thiagarajan. Persons like us felt odd man out when we were in the presence of people who project themselves as very rich human beings. But Professor S.A. Thiagarajan, he projected himself in a very ordinary light, and therefore every section of the student community was able to be close to him and feel like at home when he is with him. His sense of dressing and his preference for a bicycle until he retires from service were just samples to show his simplicity. He was a very pious Christian, but he did not resort to any kind of ideology, just as Marxism, leftism, communism, or so on and so forth, to explain his bent towards ordinary people. His father himself had a cosmopolitan mind, and he named him after the noted. When Professor Thiagarajan was a young boy, he was taken to a relative's home to see a newborn child. And his father then decided that this newborn girl child should be the life partner of Thiagarajan. This baby girl was named Mary after Mother Mary of Velangani. And to her parents, she was born after a very long period of prayers and devotion. And a diamond crown was offered as thanks to the Mother Mary of Velangani when this girl child was born. So Professor Thiagarajan, he once registered that he firstly saw the ceiling fan when he visited his would-be wife's house when she was born. This Mary, she wanted to become a doctor, but however, Professor Thiagarajan's father, Swaminathan's wish became true, and after PUC, she married Professor S.A. Thiagarajan. In fact, this is a very great event because Professor Thiagarajan, at one point of time, decided to become a Reverend Father, a priest of the Catholic order in the Society of Jesus, and he left his home for that. But it did not materialize. He came with flying colors in his 10th standard, and he passed his PUC from St. Xavier's College and left for his BA course to St. Joseph's College, where he completed up to MA course. He returned to St. Xavier's College and was briefly tutor and subsequently was appointed as lecturer. And at the age of 25, Professor Thiagarajan was gifted to get married with Miss Mary, and both taught to the world the universal language and the universal principles of all religion, that is, love thy neighbor. However, Mrs. Thiagarajan is smarter than Professor, and one time my wife inquired about an alumnus with Professor Thiagarajan as a wedlock is about to be arranged. On hearing his student's name, Professor Thiagarajan was full of praise, and he was remembering several wonderful incidents pertaining to him, and he said to carry on with the wedding arrangement. But Mrs. Thiagarajan, she said, do not take his words as granted. Inquire thoroughly and proceed further. Because if at all it is about a student, the professor will always give good remarks. And to me, she said, your teacher is a poor judge when it comes to his students. However, Professor Thiagarajan paid students tuition fees, and how many students benefited from his generous heart, nobody knows. And Professor Thiagarajan's wife did not came in between his generosity and welfare measures directed towards students. He bought clothes for many of them, and his entire family supported him and never interfered in his philanthropic works. There were several unknown facets of Professor Thiagarajan even after completing 3 years of course under his guidance at St. Xavier's College, which we failed to recognize. When I got employed in Manoormani Sundarnar University, I had the benefit of meeting R.R. Kanchanai Srinivasan, a documentary filmmaker, and he was saying that his concern for environment and forests emerged from the provocations made by Professor S.A. Thiagarajan to enter into the forest and know the nuances of forest life, so on and so forth. He narrated a particular episode in which he accompanied Professor S.A. Thiagarajan in exploring the Pudigai forest when he was a student of St. Xavier's College. In fact, he finally said that Professor Thiagarajan found it difficult to remain at home on holidays. On one occasion, when his son is undergoing stand training program. This stand training program is a unique feature of St. Xavier's College and it is entitled Students Training and Action for Neighborhood Development. So Mr. Alvin was undergoing a training at Ambasamutram as part of the stand program and a board Mr. Thiagarajan he left his home in bicycle and reached Ambasamutram bicycle and spent some time with his son and returned in bicycle. On another occasion, when we were students of St. Xavier's College, one day he was traveling with his wife in a bus and all of a sudden he asked his wife to come down from the bus. She is standing in the front and he is standing in the back and he signaled her to get down off the bus and she was surprised and shocked and immediately she obeyed his request and she got down off the bus. She was quizzical and she asked why he made her to come out of the bus midway and Professor Thiagarajan said I wish to walk from here to home. All on a sudden, I felt like that, he said. She said, stupid. Not exactly this word she used, but she remarked something like that pertaining to his idea. And she took an auto rickshaw and left for home. Professor Thiagarajan walked alone and reached his home. And I am definite that he enjoyed his walk, though lonely a long way. Similarly, Professor Armiraj of St. Joseph's College History Department, he said that Professor Thiagarajan had a wonderful voice and he could sing wonderfully and almost he sang only for the choir. There are several Roman Catholic churches around Tirunelveli, but only a few Roman Catholic churches they have choir in English and the NGO Colony Church which is the parish of Professor S.A. Thiagarajan, had that English Mass and English choir. And this English Mass and English choir, I believe, benefited from the voice of Professor S.A. Thiagarajan. When he was affected of Parkinson's, at that time he read a news item published by a Roman Catholic magazine stating that Saint Anthony's Holy Tongue is visiting Ernakulam. So he requested me to accompany him and his wife, and we reached Ernakulam. And in the poor state of health, also, he was able to sing a song in praise of Saint Anthony. Irrespective of the development in the field of communication, he preferred to write letters and he loved the Indian postal system and he waited for reply from every single student to whom he wrote letters. Similarly, he is also a lover of Indian railways. He has travelled widely throughout the length and breadth of India, and whenever he conducted a tour, he took one student along with him. On one occasion, he traveled to the northeastern part of India, and surprisingly, he came across a home bearing the name of ex speaker P.A. Sangma. Without a second thought, he entered into P.A. Sangma's home, and his brother was available there, and he was shocked to see some strangers entering into the home and thought some kind of people expecting some help have reached their home. And he inquired why they have come to this place. And for that, Professor S.A. Thiagarajan replied that P.A. Sagma is our former Speaker of the Lok Sabha, and I am crossing his home accidentally, and I am shocked and surprised I wanted to make a visit and say hello to him and leave, and that is the matter. And he was highly surprised. That person was taken aback by the casualness of an Indian citizen who from South India paying visit to northeastern part of India and casually trying to meet a former speaker of the Lok Sabha. So he became normal and very accommodative, and he greeted them, and he offered them tea, and he said that Mr. P. A. Sangma is not available now, and he will be very happy to know that you people from southern India paid a visit to his home, and whenever you are coming next time, please inform us early so that we will make necessary arrangements for you. In another occasion, the head of the Tamil department, Dr. P.J. Pondian, he requested Professor S.A. Thiagarajan to collect some books from Vanadi Padipagam in Chennai. And in front of Vanadi Padipagam, there was a park. And Professor Thiagarajan, after getting down from the bus at Mambalam station, he straight away went to the Vanadi Padipagam and found the office locked. Actually, Vanadi Padipagam, home and office are placed together, and therefore he waited till people becoming active, and until then he decided to wait in the park, and he bought a newspaper, and using the newspaper as bedsheet he slept for some time in the park. And when Vanadipati Pagam was opened, he with the newspaper reached that particular place, and a Brahmin woman who was clearing the front side of the office was shocked to see him and inquired what. And Professor Thiagarajan said, I am the Vice Principal of St. Xavier's College, Palayam Kottai, and I am here to collect some books from your publishers on behest of Professor P.J. Pondian. She was shocked and she said, I will not believe you. This is a special aspect of Professor Thiagarajan. He never bothered about what people think about him, and he just lived his life happily on his own right. When we were students of Loyola College, that is myself, my friend B. Amal Raj, who later became sub inspector and promoted to the level of inspector, and Mr. Ganapati, who is now in America. And because of his visit, we are broadly respected by our fellow students. Most of the time, on arrival, he straight away reached us and spent quality time with us. He did this in spite of his son, Mr. Alvin, who was a bachelor living in the city. Many students magnanimously attempted to become friends, but one of my friends was critical about that, and he said that he should not next time skip us and go to his room. Every time he inquired about our financial situation and tried to help us. And one of our senior students, he did not attend the convocation function, and he asked the reason for that. I said that he was in a poor state of financial condition at that time. Thiagarajan became irritated and he said, that 500 rupees, will I not give that for you? Now I miss the opportunity of seeing you in the graduation dress. He organized an alumni meeting of Xaverians at Loyola College. Many, including G.R. Edmund, former minister and former deputy speaker of Tamil Nadu Assembly, attended it. We planned the Platinum Jubilee celebration of our alma mater there. He also organized alumni meeting at St. Xavier's College from time to time. On the occasion of his retirement, he wanted to conduct an alumni meeting. About 225 students attended the alumni meeting, and except for one or two, he was able to name all of them, and he was able to identify the batches also. He also invited substantial segment of students to celebrate his 60th birthday. He, on his 60th birthday, said that if I am fortunate enough to live up to my 75th year, I will celebrate my birthday and I will invite you all. But it is unfortunate that he did not celebrate his 75th birthday and succumbed to Parkinson's. At the personal level, Professor S.A. Thiagarajan, he visited my father when my mother died. With his wife, he came and consoled my father. He wanted me to be guided on the right spiritual path. Therefore, he chose Father Peter Xavier and give me religious instructions. On his request, one day, Reverend Father Peter Xavier, he made a phone call to me and he instructed me to go by the words of Professor S.A. Thiagarajan rather than becoming a pious Catholic Christian. After my father's death, I disappeared from the scene of Palayam Kottai, and the only person who looked for me is Professor S.A. Thiagarajan, who wrote a letter to my classmate, Mr. Ganapati, who was studying at JNU. Fortunately, I received the letter personally and read that, and I gave a reply. And impressed by the reply, he caused the publication of that in the St. Xavier's College magazine, and that started the beginning of my publication career. Since he was interested in my spiritual well being, I chose him to be the godfather of my son P. Robert Bernard, who was born in 2006 and christened in 2007, April 23rd. When both Robert Bernard and Robert Martin were about to start their school life, we visited Professor Thiagarajan to seek his blessings. And in a traditional manner, he conducted certain ceremonies and started their school life. Until now, his family members they adopt the duty that is to be performed by a godfather, and with their blessings, my children are also doing well. True philosophers are not made just by books, reading, and thinking, but by giving examples through practical living. Philosophers can also evolve. One such philosopher is Professor S.A. Thiagarajan. So, if one asks why he did not complete his PhD, Professor Acharyam again has said that if at all Professor Thiagarajan has spent his time for his self benefit and not for correcting the thesis of his friends and colleagues, he would have written more than 10 theses. And he had such wide knowledge and such wide interest in the field of English literature. But after coming to service, he did his MPhil, and along with him, another colleague of his joined MPhil. And while joining PhD, that particular colleague did not inform Professor S.A. Thiagarajan, which made him rethink about the twist the character is seeing when PhD degree is coming in front. So, when character is shrinking, such degree should be avoided, was his thought, and therefore he did not prefer to complete a PhD. At the age of 50, he had the guts to say that only recently one or two of my decisions make me think that I have become a matured man. Most of the additional income that he earned through his efforts and talents were donated for the welfare of the handicapped students. Hence, through his ethics and morals, he is a philosopher and he stands above all of us. He was always loyal to God and his students, and no student will forget his sing song voice, in which he always said, "Get ready, get ready." Now, all of his students are ready to have his class, but Professor Thiagarajan is eternally sleeping. After all, the purpose of human life is to mingle eternally with God, and Professor Thiagarajan has achieved that. Let us constantly pray for his soul to rest in peace. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.